We're going to focus our attention on Michigan while we wait for the jury out in Washington to be instructed. And this is a case, it's a heartbreaker. Chelsea Duperon is being sentenced today for the death of her 8-year-old daughter.
Yeah, little Lyla. The police responded to the Duperon home where they found the little girl unresponsive in her bed wearing a diaper. She was rushed to the hospital where she later died, and an autopsy revealed that she died of blunt force trauma to the face and head. The mother in this case, she now faces up to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Yeah, the judge has a lot of leeway here. Let's go in and watch the start of this sentencing.
Case number 24-00636301FC. People of the state of Michigan versus Chelsea and Renee Duperon. We're here today for sentencing. Appearances, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Erin Wilmeth, P82085, appearing on behalf of the people.
And good morning, Tiffany Howell, on behalf of Chelsea Duperon, P79667. Chelsea Duperon.
All right, good morning to all of you. Today is the day and time set for sentencing. Have you had an opportunity to review the contents of the pre-sentence investigation report with your client?
Yes, I have.
Any additions, deletions, or corrections to be made?
No.
And from your standpoint, can I rely on the accuracy of the PRVs, the OVs, and the sentencing guideline range being 162 to 270 months?
Yes.
On behalf of the people?
Your Honor, no changes to the body of the report. I do have some changes to the scoring of the offense variables.
All right, one moment. Phones need to be on silent.
I'm sorry, Judge, that was my computer.
Oh, okay.
Which one? 5 and 7.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Wilmeth.
Your Honor, the first offense variable is OV5 for psychological injury to member of victim's family. That was scored at 0 points. The people believe that should be scored at 15 points. The court is in receipt of multiple letters from family members. Also, the court will be hearing from 2 family members today, so certainly if you would like to hold that in abeyance until you hear from those family members. But I think even just based on the letters, it is clear the suffering that both sides of this family have endured as a result of Lyla's death. This was a brutal homicide, a tragic way to lose a child that you love, and I think that the psychological injury would be evident. And as this court knows, actual therapy is not required, so we do believe that should be scored at 15 points.
Anything on behalf of Ms. Duperon?
1 second, Your Honor. Your Honor, we do ask that you make your decision after you hear the impact statements to determine whether or not there's actually been psychological damage, or I'm sorry, psychological injury.
Certainly. Next.
Thank you, Your Honor. The other OV that we don't believe is properly scored, sorry, Tiffany, also OV6. OV6 was scored at 50 points. Based on the plea to second-degree murder and the intention required for second-degree murder, that should be properly scored at 25 points.
Any objection? OV6 moving from 50 to 25.
No objection.
OV6 will be scored at 25.
And then lastly, Your Honor, OV7 for aggravated physical abuse. That was scored at 0 points. The people believe that should be scored at 50 points. The assault on Lyla was brutal. This court had the opportunity to see pictures in relation to a motion that was filed by previous counsel, a motion to exclude the autopsy photos and scene photos, to which we litigated and the court viewed those photos. there were well over 200 autopsy photos, and the people had narrowed them down to somewhere in the 60s, not being cumulative, because there was not one spot from head to toe that was not bruised or marked on Lyla. And I think the court has seen that evidence and can see the sheer brutality. Not to mention the autopsy report, which was admitted as a plea exhibit, which outlines the severe nature of the injuries that Lyla suffered in this case. On top of that, after the assault, the evidence shows that Lyla was left in a bed, not taken in for any medical treatment, and even so much so put in diapers because she could not use the bathroom. So Lyla suffered, and she was attacked brutally, and I think certainly if any case warrants 50 points on OV7, this case does.
Thank you. On behalf of Ms. Duperon, any objection?
Yes, Judge. So OV7 does require that the victim was treated with sadism, torture, or excessive brutality. And according to the notes inside for OV7, it says that sadism is conduct that subjects the victim to extreme or prolonged pain or humiliation and is inflicted to produce suffering or for the offender's gratification. There's been no evidence in this record that Ms. Duperon did any of this to prolong Lyla's suffering for any type of gratification, that it was done for humiliation, and it was not done in torture either, Judge. I do agree, I do understand the prosecutor's position regarding the bruises and the end result of what happened, Judge. And I know that this court has seen the autopsy photos, but Judge, the autopsy photos come after Lyla had already passed and all of rigor mortis and mortis, all of that stuff sets in, Judge. So I don't think that's an accurate picture of how Lyla may have looked after the actual incident occurred. Additionally, I don't believe what happened afterwards was torture or done for the gratification. This was, although Lyla was not taken to the hospital, Ms. Duperon did try to help her and did try to nurse her back to health. So that alone, Judge, goes against her intent to torture or to prolong Lyla's suffering. So I don't think 50 points is appropriate here.
All right, this court finds that Lyla was certainly tortured. Certainly there was excessive brutality that occurred. And certainly that conduct was also egregious. And that egregious conduct certainly increased the fear and the anxiety that an 8-year-old would go through when being brutally attacked by her mother. And the court, the parties are right, the court has had the unfortunate opportunity to review the autopsy photos, which, if there was a word that surpassed brutal or egregious, that would be the word I would.
The judge there getting to her sentencing and talking about these points. We heard both sides arguing, the defense saying, well, she pleaded guilty. That should be points on the sentencing guidelines that bring this closer to a lower sentence. But the prosecution saying this is sadistic, it should be higher.
And the judge seems to agree, referencing those photos. Let's get a break. We'll get you back into that Michigan courtroom. Plus, Washington, we're watching that. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julia Janae along with Ted Rollins. Thank you for following along with us. A busy day here this Monday on Court TV. We are standing by in the state of Washington where we're waiting for jury instructions to wrap up in the case against Zahra Ali and Isran Ali. They both are charged with attempting to kill their daughter Fatima.
Yeah, those instructions expected to last another 15, 20 minutes or so. So in the meantime, we are in Michigan and we're watching the sentencing for a child killer. Chelsea Duperon is being sentenced today. She pled guilty to second-degree murder in the death of her 8-year-old daughter, Lyla.
This all happened back in March of 2024. Officers found her unresponsive in a bed and that her injuries were so severe she was unrecognizable. We've been hearing about that from the defense attorney who said that, yes, there was this death of blunt force trauma to the face, but that the decomposition is what led to her being unrecognizable. But it sounds like the judge does not care.
Yeah, as the judge said, she had the unfortunate opportunity to see the photos of this little girl and what was the condition of her body, and you could tell the judge to this day is still affected by it. Officers reported that Duperon mentioned bad spirits during questioning. She had a bunch of different stories. At the end of the day, she decided not to go to trial, so she has pled guilty. She faces the maximum sentence of life with the possibility of parole.
Let's go into the courtroom now. Again, we're listening to the judge react to the request on both sides to have certain points applied to this, which is going to impact sentencing. The prosecution saying that it needs to be raised more points because of how sadistic this was. The defense saying she pleaded guilty and that she didn't try to humiliate or torture the victim. Let's go in.
Unimaginable what the court had to review. And so the court will score OV7 at 50, and the objection from the defense is noted for the record. Any other additions to the offense variables on behalf of the people?
No further changes on behalf of the people, Your Honor.
All right, we will go back to the final scoring of the offense variables after I've heard from the two family members that are expected to speak. And we can have those individuals to speak at this time. They'll speak from the witness stand.
Yes, Your Honor, and I just wanted to ensure the people provided some letters to defense and this court from a Lyla Cassel, Amanda Dalton, Joshua Cassel, Terry Cassel, Kimberly Moore, and Jessica Cornelia. They were letters expressing how the loss of Lyla has affected them, and I just wanted to make sure the court was in receipt of those. Yes, I have. Thank you.
Court is in receipt.
Thank you, Your Honor. And there's going to be two people speaking today. First is going to be Terry Cassel. She is the paternal grandmother of Lyla. And then Elizabeth Duperon, who is the aunt of Chelsea Duperon. So would you like them both to come up at the same time?
No, one at a time.
Straight in, right in front of the computer. Not this one, I mean the one up there. Up the ramp.
See?
Oh,
Yep.
Sorry about that.
All right, state your name, ma'am. Okay, you can have a seat. You can begin when you're ready. There's some tissue there also if you need it. No, you can look where you want to look.
Thank you for allowing me to speak in the courtroom today. My name is Terry Lynn Cassel. I am the grandmother of Lyla Lynn Cassel, our firstborn grandchild. She was beautiful and innocent and so sweet. She was taken from us not once, but twice, and then forever. Lyla was first taken from her father, Joshua Lyla Cassel, my son, by false allegations by her mother, Chelsea Duperon. Those lies cost him his parental rights and tore apart our family. For almost 5 years, we were kept from Lyla, cut off from her life, the chance to love and protect her closely. We had to watch her grow up from afar, from Facebook. Instead of being there by her side to guide her through her life's ups and downs. But through it all, we never gave up faith that one day Lyla would grow up and learn the truth, and that she would return back to us when we could finally tell her.
We're hitting the pause button on this emotional impact statement already from the grandmother, paternal grandmother of the victim in this case. Let's bring in our guest for this hour, trial attorney Mackenzie Joy Brennan, to react to some of this. We know there's a score sheet, Mackenzie, that the judge is using to make a decision on how she's going to sentence this defendant up to life in prison. What are your thoughts as you're hearing the victim's grandmother speaking right now?
Everything that I've heard from the judge suggests that she is going to err on the longest side possible. I think right before we cut to the victim impact statements, there was some reference to putting it at 50, which sounded like it was going to be the higher end of possible sentencing. Already we hear from this paternal grandmother that they were cut out of the child's life. For me, I'm stuck on the diapers and liquor, that after your child is injured, you not only buy diapers rather than take them to the hospital if they're incapacitated, but also get some booze. Just really shocking. I'm not sure how they pictured making any argument other than guilty in this case, so it's wild that that was a relatively recent development.
We're going to continue to listen to the grandmother. We just have a file issue getting this information. So as soon as we have that, we'll head back in for more. This is one of those cases that just turns your stomach. You look at the picture of that little girl, her life cut short for what? And the whys. There's no explanation. There's nothing that this woman can say. We do expect her to address the court at some point. Oh, I'm being told we do have the file ready to go. So let's go back in, pick up Grandma right where we left off.
How hard we fought for her, and how we deeply missed her, and that she had a little brother who now will never know his big sister. You'll never know how kind and loving she was, because she always wore a smile. And she was a peacemaker in every situation. Lyla would never hurt or harm anyone. She was always so helpful and eager to lend a hand to anybody who needed it. And that was just her spirit. She was such a beautiful soul. And we miss her all, every day, of all of our lives. But Lyla didn't leave this world in peace. She was taken by the very evil that is inside her mother, Chelsea Duperon. Her lie is now fully revealed. Not only devastated our family, but in her selfishness, she also tore apart hers as well. Her own mother, her own father, her sister, her aunt, her nieces, her nephews. By murdering my granddaughter, Chelsea destroyed our world. All of her relatives that I named are now grieved and unimaginable loss, one that we know all too well. Not just for Lyla, but for Chelsea as they once knew her. How unimaginable, how unbearable to lose not one, but two members of your family so close. One to a brutal, unimaginable death, and the other one to the darkness that caused it. Even through my grief, I can say this in honesty. Chelsea, I do not hold any hate in my heart for you, for what you did. To do so would be to carry the same darkness that you have in your heart. And I will not allow my soul to have any room for any of that. But I do hold righteous anger and a deep, unshakable need for justice for my granddaughter, Lyla. Justice for the murder of my granddaughter Lyla by the hands of her own mother, Chelsea Duperon. The Bible says an eye for an eye, but since Michigan does not have a death penalty, I ask that justice be served in the strongest way the law allows. I ask you, Your Honor, by the authority and power you have, to make sure that Chelsea Duperon, who silenced Lyla forever, will never have the opportunity to harm another soul. We are Lyla's voice now. We will carry her love, her light, her memory, and our hearts for the rest of our lives. Thank you again, Honor, for hearing us, for honoring her justice.
Thank you.
All right, we are going to get a break in here. When we come back, the defendant, Chelsea Duperon, is going to address the court. I don't know what this mother's going to say. We'll find out. Stay with us.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, Vinnie Politan is back in studio as two parents stand trial accused of trying to kill their own daughter. Catch up on today's Closing Arguments in the attempted honor killing trial.
Closing Arguments tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
Friday night, superstar guards face off as the Indiana Fever take on the Dallas Wings. Then the Los Angeles Sparks look for a win against the Seattle Storm. Coverage begins Friday night at 7. Find Ion wherever you watch. Ion, it's on.
Welcome back to Court TV Live, along with Julie, Jen, and Ted Rollins. We are in Michigan. We're watching Chelsea Duperon being sentenced today for the death of her daughter. 8-year-old little girl beaten to death.
Yeah, the police responded to this scene where they found the little girl unresponsive in her bed, 8 years old, wearing a diaper. She was rushed to the hospital where she later died. An autopsy revealed that she died of blunt force trauma to the face and head. This mother faces life in prison without the possibility of parole, but this judge has discretion. And that's the reason that the defense pleaded guilty in this case, hoping that the judge will do a downward departure from that maximum of life in prison. Let's go back into court now. We're going to hear the mother address the court ahead of the sentencing.
Ms. Duperon, today is the day and time set for sentencing. Anything you'd like to say to the court before the court imposes a sentence?
Yes, Your Honor. was like this yesterday. I found out I was having a baby girl. I remember lying in bed, holding my belly, and asking, what do you think about the name Lyla? And I felt 2 little kicks in response, and right then as I cried happy tears that my new best friend's name was Lyla. On June 27, 2015, I was blessed with the most perfect baby who grew into the most caring, smart, funny, loving, sweet girl. I was filled with a love I never knew existed. I remember Lyla sitting in the kitchen while I cooked dinner, and she said, Mama, I know your food is so yummy. I said, oh yeah, why is that? And she told me, because you make it with love. I miss hearing her little sleepy voice first thing in the morning, telling me how much she loves me, and her daily reminders that I'm the best mama. I couldn't have asked for a more perfect daughter. Lyla was so pure and so sweet, always so happy and loving. She never failed to amaze me. I'll never forget when we decided it was time to take off her training wheels. I was so nervous, but she wasn't. She hopped right on her bike and immediately took off. She was a pro on the first try. I couldn't believe it. I loved watching Garfield and SpongeBob. She loved our cat, Kit Kat, and our dog, Sheba. But most of all, she loved her family and friends. Her most favorite memories were definitely with cousins, Nana, Papa, Aunt Nene, and Bub. I will never understand why this tragedy has become our reality. Such a devastating loss of the most beautiful life. Rest in peace, baby girl. Until we meet again, I love you always and forever.
All right, thank you. Going back to the request to score OV5 at 15, the court knows that there has to be a rational basis to assess the 15 points. The court knows that actual evidence of or proof of that a victim's family member has sought or received or medical treatment is not necessary. But having gone back and looked at the letters that were submitted and looking at the language of those letters, they include phrases such as, we're not only burdened by grief. The fact that there's one side of the family who had to learn of Lyla's death from social media, online posts, and from other friends and family members seeing these things on social media. Certainly that might create some psychological injury that would afford some type of therapy or other treatment. I note in some of the letters it indicates that family members are having reoccurring nightmares where they can see Lyla trying to fight off her mother, crying, begging her mom to stop. There's language in the letters that include, this loss has left permanent scars on my family. It has affected every part of our lives, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. What hurts most is knowing how she suffered. This is painful. I live every day with a hole that nothing will ever fill. Even through my grief, I say this with complete honesty. But I do have righteous anger. Certainly, that type of language displayed within the victim impact statements from the family members, as well as what's been placed on the record through the impact statements that were given orally today, certainly support 15 for OV5. And so the court will score it. And I note the defense's objection for the record. If my math is correct, that would make the total OVs 125.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Does that change the OV level?
It does. It changes it to a level 3.
And it changes the sentencing guideline range to?
180 to 300 to life.
The court has had an opportunity to review the contents of the pre-sentence investigation report through motions that have been filed in this case from the prior attorney. I've had the opportunity to see the most horrific photos of an 8-year-old girl I have ever seen in my entire life. It was horrific. She was unrecognizable, and it is unimaginable what Lyla went through. It is unimaginable that she sat for 2 to 3 days in the condition that she was in, and nobody thought it prudent to get her the proper medical attention that she needed. She had significant swelling, bruising from the crown of her head to the soles of her feet, and everything in between. Multiple wounds to her face, to her head, bruising. Certainly something more than falling down the stairs. She was brutally attacked by the individual that was supposed to love her, to nurture her, to care for her, to protect her, and to guard her against any and everything. But instead, the way in which she chose to guard her, protect her, is to go to Rite Aid and get diapers for an 8-year-old because she couldn't afford to get out of bed to use the restroom. Court even read that she was going to take her to the hospital, because her insurance was back on. Whether she had insurance or not, Lyla was certainly in need of going to the hospital and receiving medical attention. Whether Ms. Duperon had to pay for the rest of her life for that medical bill because there was no insurance, certainly Lyla needed to go to the hospital. When Ms. Duperon knew that she couldn't even lift her, she should have known that she needed to go to the hospital. Lyla couldn't even do anything other than to sit up in bed, couldn't get out of the bed, but somehow Ms. Duperon thought that she seemed to be getting better. So instead, as I said, she purchased diapers, baby wipes, and a Thermopack wrap, and meal replacement shakes, when what she really needed was the intensive care unit. That's what she needed.
Oh, man, it's tough to listen to what that little girl went through at the hands of her mother. At the end of the day, the judge sentenced her to 28 to 50 years in prison.
Yeah, let's bring back in trial attorney Mackenzie Joy Brennan, just reacting to that. You heard the almost anger in the judge's voice at what this was, and we're having to move quickly to Washington State where those closing arguments are starting soon, so that's why we are letting you know what the finality is there inside of that courtroom. Your reaction, Mackenzie?
I'm not surprised. I didn't see a whole lot of real accountability from the defendant, even in the statements. You know, maybe this is looking too far into it, but it was a lot of focus on her. It was how I felt about being pregnant, how I felt about her being my best friend. She complimented my parenting. So even when she's at the moment where she's supposed to talk about how much she misses her daughter and regrets this, there's no accountability, and really everything is framed in a sort of narcissistic way. And the risk with a defendant like this, who does not take accountability, hasn't given a clear account of what she really did to injure this child so grievously, is that if she gets out in 10, 15 years, she could have another kid. There's nothing stopping her from doing this all again. And before she makes that decision, is she going to ensure that at least she, has insurance, is with a partner who maybe, because I think the partner has something to answer to here as well, even though maybe not legally. Long story short, this could all happen again without some real clear accountability and acknowledgement of whatever psychological issues are clearly going on.
Yeah, again, in a sense, to 28 to 50 years. She's 31 years old right now, so the earliest she gets out, she'd be 59 years of age. That's if she gets out first time on parole, which typically doesn't happen. And let's face it, that little kid was beaten to death at her hands.
In the worst way.